Let's go to Canberra now and catch up with the Shadow Education Minister and leading member of the Australian Jewish community, Julian Leeser. Julian, thanks for joining us. I want to start off on the President's visit and the animosity it's caused from some. Firstly, this ABC claim that large sections of the Jewish community are opposed to the visit. Can you give me your sense of that?
Well, Chris, you are absolutely right to call that out for the rubbish that it is. The overwhelming majority of Jewish Australians support the State of Israel, believe that it has the right to exist, and take great comfort from the presence of the President of Israel here at a time when the Jewish community is mourning, when our community, the Jewish community, was targeted specifically at the Bondi terror attack. Israel is a friendly nation. It's a country that helped Australia get through that terrorist attack by sending some of its paramedics and other people to help deal with the situation. It's entirely appropriate the President is here. And what has comforted me is that there are people in my community in the electorate of Barara who are not Jewish who've approached me just to tell me how much they support the President coming here and that they're pleased that the President of a friendly nation is comforting the Jewish community at this time.
He spoke very well today, both in a short speech and in the answers to a few questions. I'll show some more of that later on in the program, but we gave some examples of that in my opening. Tell me about the reception he's received here and whether that's acceptable, that there's so much animosity seemingly from a government that's ambivalent about it. They've extended the invitation, but they seem ambivalent about it.
Well, yes, I'm very upset that the President has received this sort of animosity from people. I don't think it will faze him one bit, and it certainly doesn't faze the Jewish community in Australia. And sadly, we've got used to these protests that are going on all the time. I've got a very simple message to the protesters. Stop re-traumatising your fellow Australians who are suffering from reeling from the attacks at Bondi, and have a thought for your fellow Australians at this time. This behaviour is unacceptable. They should not be able to shut down the whole city. I'm pleased to see the Supreme Court decision today, and I would call on the police to enforce the law.
Well, it's going to be a test. I would argue, and I'm certain you would agree with me, that they have been too soft, governments and police, too soft on these anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian protests right from December the 8th, 2023. They need to try and put the genie back in the bottle, and this week is going to test them. We'll see how they go.
Chris.
Yeah, well, they need to toughen up this
Chris,
week.
And this is why, as soon as the President's visit was announced, I wrote to Commissioner Lanyon and I called on him to extend the bans that he put in place now around Bondi and around other Jewish communal infrastructure. People have the right to protest, but if they want to change the foreign policy of the country, come to Canberra. The federal parliament makes foreign policy, not places in the city of Sydney, and it's time that we got our streets back.
Now, I know you are very loyal to your leader, Susan Lee, and in particular because of the way she campaigned so strongly for a royal commission in the wake of the Bondi terrorist attack. But don't you accept that at 18%, the coalition's news poll numbers mean that she is finished? There just has to be a change. There has to be a lot else change, of course, but you can't stay on as leader when you've presided over the worst ever polling in the coalition's history.
Chris, those polls reflect the fact that the coalition split. The Australian people don't want to see the coalition split. Our supporters don't want to see it split. I don't want to see it split, and I'm pleased it's back together. People forget that as a result of Susan Lee's actions in Bondi, actually the polls were starting to improve for us. And you're right, I do support Susan, because with Susan I went around Bondi in the wake of the attack. I sat with people in hospital who had loved ones in intensive care. I met the families of the victims. And Susan's leadership caused the parliament to come back here and to pass laws to boot hate preachers and to deal with radical Islamists like Hizb ut-Tahrir and neo-Nazis. If it were not for Susan Lee, our country wouldn't be safe. Our country wouldn't be as safe as it's become today. So I back her leadership in relation to this.
Hypothetically, is there any problem with the deputy leader position in the Federal Liberal Party being held by a senator rather than a House of Reps MP?
I'm not going to deal with those matters, Chris. I've been focused on dealing with my portfolio responsibilities, which is in education, and I've been disgusted this week on the theme of the things that we're talking about on the indoctrination of children in the classrooms, the hijacking of Bluey in order to make points about the anti-Israel cause. It's just extraordinary to me that at a time of declining standards, we've got people trying to hijack Bluey and use it for a pro-Palestine, anti-Israel cause in the classrooms. Let's get back to teaching students the 3 R's. Let's get back to raising our standards, not to indoctrinating kids about terrorism.
Yeah, we are out of time. I wanted to talk about what the teachers are doing with this anti-Israel cause in the classroom. We will come back to that later in the week, I'm certain. Thanks so much for joining us, Julian. Julian Leeser there, the Shadow Education Minister.